We could be looking at the first snowflakes of the year for some areas. The National Weather Service is talking about that as we head through this week across parts of Minnesota. I think maybe even parts of Wisconsin and the UP of Michigan. And regardless of where this snow ends up going, we're going to be looking at some really cold air for this time of year underneath this upper low that's going to start to drop south out of Canada as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. Now, granted, this isn't going to be a huge thing, but when you read in the forecast discussion, the National Weather Service is saying we could be having our first conversations about snow this year in these areas. It's on the table. Is this a sign of winter to come? I don't think so, but it's definitely going to be an impact for many of you across the Great Lakes this week. And not only that, this trough is going to stay established across a good part of the central and eastern U.S., which means below average temperatures. How cold are we talking? Well, take a look at the cold front as it drops south as we head into Wednesday. 30s and 40s starting to get widespread, especially at night. Thursday morning could be quite cold. Look at this, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you cold when you're looking at temperatures near freezing as far south as maybe even northern Iowa, a good part of Wisconsin, and then 30s at least trying to push south into Illinois. That's pretty cold in my book. 30s possible as well early Friday morning from Indiana, northern Illinois, into parts of Ohio. That cold air working east. We're going to see sunshine here though, so temperatures rebound nicely. We're still into September. It's still way early, and underneath the clouds and the cold, temperatures stay stuck in the 40s. It's hard to believe we're having this conversation already about snow. And by the way, if you're new to the channel, I'm Travis. I used to be a chief meteorologist years ago. I worked in television where time was a little limited. But if you're into this type of weather geekery, we dig into this winter outlook type stuff at least once a week. A new update is coming this week, so make sure you subscribe, come back. We'll update that toward the beginning of this upcoming week. And we're going to look at that right there. That was the snow forecast for parts of Siberia and the Himalayas, although Siberia is really what we're watching for that cold air as to how it moves across the Arctic Sea down into North America. Right now, cool conditions across the Northeast, not really Arctic air. Actually, its origination was from the high latitudes, but temperatures on the way down. Here comes your piece of energy. This is what's going to kick off the change that's going to happen this week, and we're going to take it a little bit further out in time, so we're looking at the upper level chart, and I'm going to tell you how that's going to impact things, at least how I think it's going to. Temperatures are going to be fairly mild across the northern U.S. as we head through the weekend into Labor Day. We start to develop a bit of a wedge and some cooler conditions here across the east, and out west, no cool air for you guys. It's just going to stay hot. No big changes on the way here. This weird upper low, though, is going to start to influence parts of the Pacific Northwest. And then look at the ridging building here across Alaska, right? What pumps up is going to drop. And that's what we're seeing as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday. This piece of energy starts to amplify and it starts to dig, if you will, into the mid latitudes. You can see that low, boom, there it goes. It just keeps digging and digging. And now we've got some phasing going on. And underneath this cold pocket of air is where you could find those snowflakes. And I think it's going to be Wednesday night into Thursday morning. The European and the GFS, this is the European, getting pretty deep. Those heights dropping. That's that cold air. The atmosphere literally is thinner underneath that. So big changes on the way, and look how far south that trough digs, all the way into the deep south. So temperatures are likely going to stay below average. This does keep the hurricane threat away, at least for now, but there are some changes when you look long range. I don't like this look right about here. We're going to talk more about that in just a second. Right now across the country, big rain falling across Texas today. This is Saturday, the day this is being recorded, so if you're catching it later, we are going to continue to see that rain through the weekend. The heaviest rain on Saturday will be across Kansas, Nebraska, also across Texas and New Mexico. Otherwise, the rest of the country, pretty quiet. We do have a few storms moving through the northeast with that cold air aloft that's swinging through, so clouds on the increase today. The strongest storms, though, will be across Texas and New Mexico, and that's where we could see some really heavy rain. There's that cold air aloft. I like to show these height lines because it gives you an idea of where it is. That's the center of it, moving through New England right now. Some showers possible, especially into the mountains. Once we get into the afternoon and evening, you can really see how that cold air aloft instigates those. Further to the south, our front has pushed all the way down to Florida, and it's really stopped here. That cool air from Canada not moving too far to the south, and where it stopped is where the rain is. Some changes, though, happening across the mid-Atlantic and also into the Northeast. High pressure building in. We're going to dry out across the Northeast where we could use a little more rain, especially into Maine. But now we've got some upslope flow starting to take shape across parts of Virginia, North Carolina, even into parts of Tennessee. So West Virginia down into North Georgia, I think there could be some showers as we head into Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. And then as we move into Monday, we start to develop this wedge here with this cool air banking down the east side of the mountains as high pressure sets shop up across the northeast, keeping us dry. So we'll continue that influence of that cool maritime air, at least off the ocean. It's not cool, I guess, but it is the further north you go. So temperatures are going to be held in check because of that. Rain chances starting to increase too as we head into Monday back across the Tennessee Valley. Another cool morning on Sunday, maybe not as cool as today. Temperatures on Sunday are going to rebound nicely back into the 70s. Not as cool again heading into Sunday night into early Monday morning. So Labor Day looking pretty nice. Isn't Labor Day like a big yard sale day? Is that a nationwide thing, a regional thing? I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below if that's a thing where you're from. But as we head into Labor Day, nice and crisp. Very fall-like, I think, across a lot of the country. At least in the east, not across the west. It's hot. It's going to stay hot too. Rain chances going down here. The strongest storms and rain will be much further to the east, although there could be a few showers across the Pacific Northwest and also here into southern Arizona as we head into Monday. But otherwise, not a lot happening. Temperatures hot across the Central Valley, down into the Southwest again, and also into eastern Oregon and Washington, not just today, but tomorrow. I think, especially into the far Northwest, east of the mountains, we could get close to 100 again, especially in the lower elevations. The heaviest rain today again across Nebraska, down into Texas. You can see how this is kind of pushing to the east. So we're starting to spread that a little bit further into Missouri, into eastern Kansas, possibly as far north as Iowa as we head into Sunday morning. The best chance of rain, though, will be across Kansas, down into Texas. Some heavy rain possible right along the Gulf Coast, too, into Louisiana. And then you can see this disturbance, how it sits here and just spins over the next couple of days. So rain chances increasing across South Dakota and Iowa as well. And then beyond this, the big change starts to happen. You're going to feel that cool air all the way down into parts of the central states as well. Let's push this out in time. I'll show you what we mean. There we go through Sunday, Monday, into Tuesday. Here comes the cool air. By the time we get into Wednesday, you start to see it build across Nebraska. The GFS wants to keep that cool air a little bit further to the east, but boy, getting down into the 40s in many of these areas, heading into early Friday morning, I think that would be the coolest time here across parts of Kansas, Nebraska, also into parts of southern Iowa. And then as we head into the weekend, temperatures start to rebound, especially across the plains. As we look beyond this weekend, let's talk about the tropics, because right now we've got this old front that's died out here. I think you've got to keep an eye on any type of thunderstorms that start to organize along these old dead fronts for any tropical development. But otherwise, we've got this wave now that's moving off of the west coast of Africa. The National Hurricane Center is watching this. And the problem will be, as this moves east, is it going to get picked up in the Atlantic, or are we going to be dealing with it in that 8 to 10 to 12 day time frame with this type of setup that I don't like? If you end up with an upper low here, right? Let's just pretend we have this here and we have some sort of tropical system at this point. I don't know that we will. I'm just saying, if we did, this is not the look you like, because anything that develops is going to want to get pulled north. And that's kind of what Helene did. If you remember last year, it really just yanked it in and pulled it back to the west. And, you know, if this low is setting here, let's say we have a storm here, it's going to pull it like this. Still a long way to go. I'm just saying I don't like the way this looks, especially with a lot of ridging developing across the Caribbean into the eastern Atlantic. Hurricane season, guys. It's still there. I know we're talking about snow in the video, but the peak is right around the 10th of September. A long way to go. I'll be tracking it every day, so subscribe. And if you're into winter forecasting, again, we've talked about that snowpack that's building across Siberia. Tell you a little more how I think that could impact our winter, and also some other things we're seeing globally. I think you'll like it. Check it out. Here it is.